Welcome to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm your host, Wim Liu. I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong, rocking the Villa kit once again with the Blue Jays hat and this denim shirt. I feel like you got dressed quickly this morning.
Yeah, you know, it's always a quick run to the office to hang out with you. What's going on? Still called the Raptors Show? We should rename the show in the off season or something.
What do you want to rename it, man?
Just, Alex and Will talk about anything for an hour.
That's not bad.
We got big plans in the off season. We're going to review a bunch of movies. Giannis got a new movie coming out on Disney.
Yeah, you're really excited for us to go podcast exclusive for a while.
Yes.
In the summertime, because then you're less worried about how it sounds.
I don't have to look at the clock.
You don't have to look at the clock.
We're going to answer Twitter questions. So Will has
It's not going to be 50 minutes every single episode.
Yeah, it'll be
guaranteed.
4 hours. It'll be 4 hours. Will has promised the first time we do Twitter questions in the off season, we're going to answer every question. So I'm holding you to that.
Yeah, within reason. I mean, if
what do
they
you mean
ask
within reason?
No, there's some. There's some off limit topics.
Okay, but nothing's off limit when it's pod only. Plus, you've been watching a lot of '90s basketball. By the way, we've got James Herbert joining us in the second segment. We're going to be drafting our all-time favorite NBA Finals moments, and maybe in the offseason, you can watch some of these 90s teams, the Sonics, the Knicks, the Heat, the Pacers, and then maybe we can do some pods about that too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a lot of work.
I've been really enjoying it. Like, this is the thing for me. It's like when basketball stops being played daily. Right now, in the finals, the games are once every 3 days.
Yeah, it's a little dessert every 3 days.
Yeah, I'm just I would like to turn on my television and see that the finals are happening, but it really rarely happens. That's fine. You get to wait a long time, marinate in the losses. You got to wait for media to travel. Obviously the game can't start until Brian Windhorst gets in the building with,
right.
Tim Bontemps or whatever. But
Swagoo and Perk.
Yeah. I don't know who that person is, by the way, Swagoo.
Mark Spears.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's Mark Spears and Kendrick
I might check that out, actually. I like Mark Spears.
Yeah, you need to keep up with American media, man. We gotta get them for votes next season, too.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. In any case, yeah, so when there is no actual live basketball happening, I fill that time by going on YouTube, and there's lots of great channels on there that have highlight compilations from the 90s. Honestly, I just like watching all kinds of basketball. I'm trying to become more informed about it because obviously, I'm newer to the game, started watching 2004, 2005 range,
right.
Which honestly the basketball at that time, low quality, but
yeah, I've been trying to tell you, 90s basketball, a lot better than today, but we don't,
Anyway.
I sound like that old guy.
No, I kind of see your point because every game does feel really close, and there is a lot of one-on-one scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it is interesting to me. I feel like you see a lot less one-on-one craft nowadays. Nowadays, it's you get trapped and how quickly you get the ball out of the double team, swing it to the corner, and someone hits the three over a contest, which is exciting, but also at the same time. I could see why an old head like you would really want to see some more one-on-one basket ball. But we got some, honestly, last night's game was pretty good. You can't, I mean, I know that it was a blowout. By the way, I'm sick of people saying that every blowout means the game wasn't close.
No, the
game
finals
was very close for a long time. It was
the finals have been fun.
Yeah, exactly.
The finals have been fun. It's been 2 blowouts, but they have been fun. There is a difference between the blowouts from the last 3 weeks.
I mean, a blowout to me nowadays is like Suns versus Mavericks game 7. That's a blowout to me.
Yeah, what happened there? Did we ever get to the bottom of that? A 64-win team lost by 50 points at home. Imagine if that happened to the Raptors. We would be dissecting that for 2 months.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chris Paul did his thing, and Devin Booker couldn't handle a double team.
No, but
no
what
one else on
happened?
that team
They
could
lost
make a
by
play.
50.
Ayton quit on the team, or I guess the team also quit on Ayton.
It's internal. Yeah.
It's internal. Now there's reports that he's not going to come back. It's okay, whatever.
No, but that's
a lot happened
They
there.
lost by 50, but yes, there's a big difference between those blowouts. The first 2 games, the first game was close until, midway through the fourth quarter. And last night, the Warriors went on their third quarter run again.
Yeah, very impressive.
And this time, Boston didn't have a response. We're definitely going to talk about Draymond's unhinged behavior.
Oh, yeah.
From the game, but I kind of want to just highlight the Warriors' defense. I feel like I'm probably a victim of this too. Always look at them as an offensive team, led by Steph Curry. But thinking back about last night's game, I mean, their defense was incredible, especially in that third quarter, and that's what won them the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple standouts. Obviously, number one, their defense starts and ends with Draymond Green, and I think he really set the tone. I also think
did he set the tone?
I think the officiating also set the tone a little bit because it felt like the Celtics got off to a really great start.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown was scoring at will.
I was messaging you that was going to be a sweep.
Yeah, and I was like, relax. But I don't know. There was like a period in that first half where it just felt like nothing the Celtics would do would result in them getting the call. Now, the final like tally, like the Celtics actually ended up shooting more free throws than the Warriors. Maybe some of that was in the fourth quarter. And to be honest, like there was a bit of a blowout towards the end, so I didn't really fully watch when. You know, by the way, the Celtics really have a very interesting third unit. Can we talk about that?
Aaron Nesmith, Sam Hauser?
I just, when the guys check in, I'm like, everybody here has the same haircut as somebody from Mad Men.
Right.
Like it looks like Sterling Cooper, Draper Price in there.
Oh, damn. All right.
Like it's like Sam Hauser, Nick Stauskas, Peyton Pritchard comes in. I'm like, okay, all right. When's Peggy Olson coming in as well? But in any case, yeah, before that, it did feel like there was a stretch there in the first, especially in the first period, where it felt like, okay, the Celtics are just not going to get any calls here.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think sometimes when we kind of complain about this stuff, like I also, at the same time, I don't want to focus so much about the calls because I also just want to see like really competitive basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you know, to our discussion about like the '90s and whatever, and even the early 2000s, like that era was like really physical play. Like you really had to do a lot to get that foul call, right? And you let the game sort of happen. If they want to play hard, there's a lot of contact in the paint. I'm cool with allowing that. And I thought this, the Warriors played it with a sense of desperation. I thought it was sort of top down as well. Not obviously Draymond, you knew he was going to set the tone, but you also saw
You've said setting the tone twice. Let's just be clear. First possession of the game, he like tries to rip the ball from Al Horford and forces a jump ball.
Yeah.
And then he's barking at every single player throughout the game.
Yeah.
Like you can go down the list of the Celtics players. Like he got into a scuffle with Tatum, with Smart.
Yep.
There was the Jaylen Brown one. So he picked up a technical, and then I think it was in the second quarter when he just, the thing with Draymond when he's unhinged and out of control, he just lets his limbs fly, right? Like his limbs, like he fell on Jaylen Brown on a 3-pointer and he just like rested his legs
Jaylen
on
Brown
his
also
head.
kicked him in the leg on the way down. I'm sorry, that wasn't even a 3-point foul for me.
But Draymond is a master because there's a weird thing in the NBA where you're actually allowed to play way more aggressive after you've picked up your first technical.
Yeah.
It's strange. Like it shouldn't be that way, but that's how it works.
I mean, here's the thing. This is why you got to be a real Aston Villa fan because you got to be able to watch soccer because when a player has the yellow card, you can pretty much do whatever. It's the same kind of deal because the officials don't want to be the ones to say, "Hey, you're out of the game." To be honest, would you be happy if Draymond was out of that game yesterday? No, I thought he added to the competitiveness of the game, to the entertainment factor of the game, to the intensity of the game. It was great. Like I want him to stay. If he got kicked out the game because him and Jaylen Brown like just like push each other's legs apart, come on, you can't love '90s basketball and then be crying for a tech there.
I'm not crying for it, but I just love that he punked the Celtics, but he also punked the refs. Because he was basically telling the refs that you're not going to make these calls. You're not going to call the second tech. So I'm going to push it. And he knows in the finals environment, like it's going to take a lot. Like he literally probably would have had to throw in a punch at midcourt to get tossed yesterday.
I mean, he did kick Steven Adams in the nuts.
And then he was calling Grant Williams a bozo. Like he was just out of control.
Draymond versus Grant Williams was just an incredible storyline of just like two people who are objectively like very hard to like.
Right.
Or not hard to like. They're just not likable.
They play smart, but they also play annoying. Like they play an annoying brand of basketball.
And then so you saw like right away when Grant Williams checked in off the bench, there was a play where Draymond just come up to set the screen and Grant Williams trying to deny position and whatever. And Draymond just like swims under him, then like arm bars him on the way down, then falls on him. And they're like, Grant Williams blocking foul.
There was also one play when the Warriors were on offense and Draymond just shoved 3 guys while he was trying to set a pick for Steph.
Yo,
I was worried.
Man.
I was worried because
I really do like Draymond. I'm sorry.
The unhinged behavior, that was out of control yesterday. But you know what? They won the game.
Yeah,
he had a much better game. And there it is. There it is. Draymond was the main character yesterday somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there was a lot of storylines, right? Steph was amazing as always.
Yeah, but by the way,
Steph has like 63 points in 70 minutes now in the finals.
Yeah, I feel like
unbelievable.
I'm on the side now of Steph being really underappreciated.
Yeah.
I feel like we always find a way to talk about somebody else.
Like
we recap game 1 on Friday. I don't think we even mentioned Like we briefly mentioned Steph's 21-point first quarter.
Yeah, we're like, oh yeah, he hit 6 threes in one quarter. It was no
and
big
here
deal,
we are talking about Draymond.
Yeah.
Who put up like a 9, 5, and 7. I mean, he played well, but like Steph won them the game.
There's lots of conversations about Jordan Poole, which, by the way, Jordan Poole was having one of the worst first halves I've ever seen. Man. Why can't Jordan Poole? Why does he insist on not taking the extra step and then just going to shoot the quick layup, the scoop layup? Because he got blocked on that twice at least.
Right.
And I'm like, but you have a step on your man. If you just took one more step and got it to the rim and put it on the glass, at least they can't even block you at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why is the signature move just like, oh, I'm going to take one step less and then stretch the rest of the way? Like,
honestly, I know Poole had those couple of threes, and obviously the signature.
No, I mean, hey, listen, that wasn't just a couple of threes, man.
From inside half court. Show some Mike Breen get better soon. Really wanted to hear that Mike Breen bang when he hit that to end the third quarter.
Did you like Mark Jackson saying,
"Mama, there goes that man"?
No, he said Jordan jumped into that pool or something. And I'm like, bro,
my God.
You could have. It was right there for you. Jordan Poole from the deep end.
Oh yeah, okay.
Easy. It's easy money right there.
From the ends. Yeah.
No, okay, all right.
No, sorry, I'm trying to make it look.
What are you, man? Relax. Know yourself, please.
There's going to be no cap. There's going to be a game in this series. Either Jordan Poole's going to win or lose a game for the Warriors.
He already has done both.
No,
game one, he was so bad.
No, but
then this game, at the first half, I was like, it's gotten even worse.
Yeah, I'm really worried about it because those minutes are so important.
Yeah.
When he checks in, and usually Steph is off the floor, and they need him. And I don't know if I can trust him.
No, I don't trust him.
I do not trust him in Boston.
I actively don't trust him. Because, like, I think he's struggling a little bit against ball pressure. Like, when it's smart against him, he really gets mauled. When it's Peyton Pritchard, I think sometimes he really even disrupts his rhythm a lot. And, of course, everyone else is a big wing, so there's going to be some issues there. But, you know, Poole is very explosive. And the thing is, like, you just need somebody to step up besides Steph. Like, if Draymond can play that level of defense and that brand of defense. Sorry, I admire Draymond because that's also how I approach athletics. But in any case, you know, Wiggins is like pretty solid every game. Like Wiggins not gonna score 35 points and like single-handedly win you the game like that, right?
But you know what you're gonna get from him. You know what you're gonna get from him.
Honestly, he probably would have had a 20-point game once again yesterday if he just didn't miss like 18 different layups. I don't know what was going on with the Warriors in the first half.
That was a problem.
I think they were really spooked about the Celtics' length and Rob Williams and all that stuff. And eventually, second half, they're like, okay, it's okay. Like Rob Williams, first off, it seemed like he hurt his leg again. He's just been really on and off nonstop throughout the whole playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they can play him heavy minutes like moving forward.
No, he's just not moving. Period. Yeah. But like, I guess they were still getting blocked a couple more times. Derek White had a pretty good defensive game, but yeah, once they kind of figure that out, they were okay. But seriously though, Steph just needs like one guy to step up with him offensively. And in the past, it's like, okay, you got Clay right there.
Yeah, 4 for 19 yesterday.
Yeah, man.
It's really tough seeing this.
Because we've seen this like so many times now throughout the playoffs. Like this is not the first time we've seen Clay and you're like, what's Clay doing? Like once a series, especially in that Memphis series, it really stood out to me. I'm like, damn, they really need something from Clay. And he's just like, anytime he touches the ball, he's like, I'm going to shoot the shot. I'm Klay Thompson. And it's like, I mean, I have no doubt that Klay's going to like go off and win the one game in this
He's
series.
going to have one good can
it not be more than that? Otherwise, can he not just take every single shot that touches his hand? Because that to me, I'm like, because he's taking like, not only is he struggling to come back, and I think Assad pointed this out on Twitter, is just like his legs are so jelly, he can't really jump, he can't really get lift into a shot, stuff like that, right? Defensively, he's not as effective as he was before. But like, can he just not take difficult shots? Like turn around, like post up long twos. I mean, I know he could hit those.
The former Clay could hit those.
Maybe even the current day can hit those. But like at the same time, I don't know, man.
It's tough seeing him out there in the garbage
shots,
time. Garbage time in the fourth quarter too. Left him out there, Steve Kerr, to try to get him going.
And it never really even happened, man. He was like Sam Hauser. I can't score. He's man.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned like Steph needing guys to step up.
Yeah.
Like it is time to look at this Warriors team a little differently. Like I feel like for them to win this series, at least yesterday they proved that they can win this type of game. Like they can win a game with their defense, and I think that'll be really important on the road. And it's no longer like this stacked superstar team where you know who the 5 best players are going to be. And it's really Steph and the role players. Like, listen, Clay is better than your average role player, Wiggins as well, Draymond, but like Steph is the only star on this team. Like the only superstar on this team.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of question marks after that.
It kind of feels a little bit like that. Yeah. Like this is surprisingly closer to Celtics versus Heat rather than what you would normally expect from Celtics.
But I think the Warriors can win those type of games, which we'll see.
I mean, a couple of things I thought was positive for them. They got, I think Otto Porter has just been really nice in all of his minutes. Plus 24 in 15 minutes yesterday. So unfortunately, he's on a minutes restriction. Although I've never heard of a minutes restriction in the finals.
He's on a minutes restriction?
Bro, it's the finals.
Man.
If you need more than 15 minutes from Otto Porter at some point, Steve Kerr, just go ahead and do that, okay? Because it feels like he's good on the corner. He's good on the corner threes. He's got some size on the wing, which I think is going to be really important. Like obviously against Boston, all they have is big wings. But he's just played his role well. I thought Wiggins has played his role well. When the two of them play together, I think it works. I think Gary Payton coming back.
That was huge for them.
At the start of it, because there was that play where he tried to go up and they called a phantom foul on Jaylen Brown where Gary Payton just like jumped up and tried to finish with his left hand.
Yeah, there was no contact.
He broke the elbow on, right? Yeah. So he missed the layup and then he missed the 2 free throws, I think, as well afterwards.
He did,
and he was like really down on himself. But over the course of the game, he started playing really well. I think there's a defensive element to him that really works. Although I think he's better at playing against guards that drive rather than against players who want to rise up and shoot. Because as much as he is pesky defensively, Tatum is 6'8", 6'9".
Right.
And he is like 6'1", 6'2" at best.
Jason Tatum, minus 36 last night. Worst plus minus by any player in a finals game. In the play-by-play era. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Since they started having commentators.
Since you became a man.
Yeah. Can we also highlight Jason Tatum when he struggles? I just feel like we're a large part of the media is trying so hard to make Jason Tatum a top 10 player. It's like just he's okay if he's a top 20 player. He's okay if he's Paul George.
I love your Jason Tatum agenda so much.
It's not an agenda. I just read stats every game.
I mean,
what did he shoot in game 1? 3 of 17.
It did feel
but
like
then people
agenda.
wanted to focus on his 13 assists. Of course, he's gonna pass if he's struggling. What? I'm just saying.
No, you're right. I'm just saying does feel like an agenda because to take viewers behind the scenes and listeners behind the scenes, there was like, I forget, like 2 Fridays ago, we were out.
The Super Fresh conversation.
Super Fresh,
right.
Opener, great event. Again, shout out to Super Fresh. We shouted out like 50 times now, but they deserve it, honestly.
Shout out to Bellissimos, but yeah.
We'll see after tomorrow, tonight. But during that game, it was game 6.
Against Milwaukee.
Celtics versus Bucks. It was an elimination scenario. And the start of the night, you're like, yo, nah, Jason Tatum's not it. He's Paul George with sideburns. There's no way, man. There's no way. He's not that guy.
He's not that guy. And then
at the end of the night, I told you, like, hey, so Celtics won, and Jason Tatum had like 46 points. And you're like, he's still not that guy for me. So I respect it, man.
I've seen Paul George put up 46. I've seen Paul George shoot 3 of 17. I'm sure Paul George had 13 assists when he shot 3 of 17. Also, like all this stuff, like he was wearing Kobe Bryant, like a Lakers armband in Game 7.
Yeah, what's wrong with
against Miami? And then there was this photo circulating.
Hey, what do you think of him texting Kobe?
Oh my God, let the man rest in peace, man.
Had he never texted Kobe before? Because that's the first text.
Honestly, that stuff does really bother me. It's just let the man rest in peace. Like, do not create content off Kobe. But anyways, we'll keep it a basketball conversation. All I'm saying is,
damn.
I don't know. Jaylen Brown struggled yesterday. 5 of 17. He said after the game that Draymond was trying to pull his pants down as well.
Oh, yeah. The clip is out there. That was on the play where they should have gotten the double text or whatever. They were like fighting back and forth.
Zarba's like, yo, I cannot give this man a second tech.
No.
Zach Zarba's like, yo, this is my moment. Zach Zarba came to a fork in the road and he went straight. He was like, I'm not going to be the main character, man. We're going to let Draymond play on.
Draymond they were like kind of kicking each other, pushing each other and stuff. And then Draymond, while he was on the ground, because Brown got up first and stood over him, Draymond's like, yeah, boom. And then he pantsed him a little bit.
So basically, Draymond can get away.
I love basketball, man.
They can get away with anything unless it's against LeBron.
Okay, hold on.
If it's LeBron, then Adam Silver might step in.
Yeah, well, I mean, also LeBron's intentionally stepped over Draymond. And Draymond like hit him,
Yeah, we'll litigate that in the offseason.
No, we don't. Man. We already did that, man.
Marcus Smart 2 points. Al Horford Finals MVP frontrunner coming in 2 points. Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like because when I was watching the Heat series, the whole time I was like, okay, the Celtics are the better team, right? Like the Celtics are the better team.
Yeah.
How is it going to 7 games? if I was a Celtics fan, I'd be so frustrated because I feel like every time they lose, it's because they have a bunch of turnovers.
Yeah.
They take a lot of dumb shots. And every loss just feels very self-inflicted.
No, if it's very predictable with these guys. It's funny because like the only thing that was strange about this game was that they shot so poorly from 2-point range. Like they actually shot 40.5% from 3 in this game.
Right.
So on the series now, they've shot exceptionally so far in 2 games from 3.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between game 1 and game 2 is that the Celtics couldn't shoot and make any 2-pointers. And I think that's partly because of the lack of whistles at the start of the game, but also more importantly, just the Warriors are playing great defense. Even Steph Curry was playing defense, man. I saw Steph Curry defensive highlights, and I was like, okay, this is actually genuinely impressive to me. It's not a surprise. We've seen him throughout the playoffs. We've seen him throughout the season as well. But he was doing a good job defensively. And I think the other part is just like, I mean, you know, as much as we're kind of like making fun of Draymond a little bit, honestly, Draymond's a very hilarious person to talk about. It's not even making fun. It's just what he does is funny.
Did he drop his podcast yet? I need to hear the one today.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
oh, man, I can't wait.
But I need his own thoughts on why he decided to pants Jaylen Brown. But he was also right, man. He said after game 1, right? He's like, oh, what? Derek White, Marcus Smart, now Horford shot 15 of 23 from 3. And that's not going to happen again. And this next game, Smart has 2. Horford has 2, and Derek White had 12 off the bench, but he shot 4 of 13.
Yeah, I don't want to give Draymond all the credit because if Smart, White, and Horford shot 15 of 23 again yesterday, he would have just gone to the podium and said it's not going to happen again. That's the only thing Draymond will say.
Right. You know what? Actually, again, tying everything back to the Raptors, like, because this is the Raptors show.
Oh, you're trying to think of when they were up 2, when the Raptors went up 2-1 in the finals?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, we're going to win the next one.
Yeah.
And the next one. And then we're going to win the championship in 6.
And then he said, good times ahead. And then it was good times ahead.
No, but
somebody here might have smoked a cigar in Oakland and really enjoyed it.
Damn. No, I appreciate Draymond for the content, though.
Oh, are you kidding me? No one is giving you more content than Draymond. First off, he's literally giving you content. This guy
he's plotting his podcast rundown during the game.
Yeah, man.
He's creating content for himself.
Nah, he's like
during the game.
You know how you're the producer and there's like you put the topics in here?
Yeah, he does it all.
He's the producer of not just like the game and the results. He produces his own podcast. And you think he does stuff in the game and he's like, I'm going to intentionally do something so that later on I have something to talk about.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. There's this clip running around. Maybe I'll pull it later this week when Steph was on Draymond's podcast. And Draymond was basically saying, you know, the things that we did together, like we couldn't have done it without each other. And Steph's just kind of looking at him like, yeah, I think I could have done this.
No, relax. No, Draymond is like an all-time like
he
player.
is.
Like,
all jokes
he's
aside.
on that like Dennis Rodman level of like
all jokes aside.
Essential.
See that one wide open 3 though that he clanked?
Bro, like
I was so excited for the roof to come off. The Chase Center, the roof is actually going to open like the Sky Dome if he hits a 3.
Again, like it goes back to our discussion last week of the hits different rankings in the finals. The 3-point hits difference rankings.
Draymond's number 1.
He hits the underside of the rim, like on like the jumper's coming downwards and it hits the underside of the rim.
Yeah,
but like you know what, he does everything else. And honestly, I also just like that he's antagonizing the Celtics. You know that I'm very anti-Celtics.
Well, I'm surprised. I'm surprised the Celtics let him get under their skin like that.
I'm not surprised. Have you seen the Celtics? They kind of get flustered a little bit.
I just thought the Celtics would have more composure.
It was Kyle Lowry doing this.
But what's Kyle Lowry doing, man? Crawling between Peyton Pritchard's legs?
I'm surprised he didn't do that. He probably could have tried. But,
by the way, there's no finals games this weekend. So it's Wednesday, game 3.
Okay.
Friday, game 4. I just think it's egregious to not have a finals game on a weekend.
I agree. I agree because there's not much to watch on television. I'm not going to be watching.
No, it's just in general.
No, I'm serious. I'm like watching UEFA Conference League. Man, it's also terrible soccer.
You need to get out of sports.
They're really tired. Let the soccer players rest. But the last thing about this game is the interaction between Draymond Green and Grant Williams,
right?
Which was shared by Sportsnet, where Grant Williams and Draymond were chatting it back and forth, right? As we mentioned, Draymond was looking to just start a fight with anybody, basically. And Grant Williams like, me, I love fighting. Okay, I love being
He also loves Draymond, by the way.
So right, so then Draymond was like, you're not me. You're not me.
Right.
You can never be me.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love that.
This is game 2, man.
I love
Do you think Draymond's going to come out like this again in game 3?
I'm not.
I don't know if you can pull this every game.
I wouldn't be surprised if Grant Williams joined him on the podcast at certain points and they discuss this.
During the series. Yeah. They should do it after a game.
Listen, players having podcasts is incredible content for me. You understand? Like, it's I love
I'm on
it.
the fence about it.
Draymond's out here doing slander pods.
I know. I'm on the fence
Yeah,
about it.
it's really fun. But in any case, yeah, I just love that moment because it does remind me of, and a lot of people brought this up, but the moment where Joakim Noah
Right.
and Kevin Garnett, where Joakim was like, growing up in, I guess New York City, but also France at times. Who knows, man? So he was, growing up, he's like, I want to be a basketball player, and he was like, I always looked up to Kevin Garnett. Like I had a poster on my wall, and then first game he plays KG, and like he's like KG hits a turnaround jumper on him, and Joakim's like, oh man, great shot, man. Seen you do that so many times, and then I can't say what KG said to him on radio, but he basically told him like, I don't like you at all, man. You just stop talking to me.
No, my favorite Draymond moment was when he told Paul Pierce that they don't love you like that.
Yeah.
Like during they're like, they're not throwing a retirement tour for you. Okay, so before we go to break, after 2 games, tied 1-1.
Yeah.
Who you feel? Who do you feel better? Like after watching the 2 teams,
I have no idea because I thought the Celtics were going to win game 2 just based on how they started the game, but then they literally couldn't finish it whatsoever. I thought the Warriors are going to win game 1 because they were in control for most of the game. Well, not even control, but like ahead and doing well for most of the game.
1-1 seems right. 1-1 seems right.
1-1 seems right. I think I'm still going to stick with Warriors in 7. I think it's going to be a longer series. Okay. And honestly, I think Adam Silver, if he needs to put on the pinstripes himself, he will make sure that this will go to game 7. So
Yo, we need Silver to come out of the tunnel with Scott Foster.
Yeah.
And Kane Fitzgerald for game 7. That'd be fun. The Warriors have won a road game in like every single playoff series in the Steve Kerr era.
Yeah.
The Celtics haven't lost 2 in a row in months. So those are
I would love
stats
to,
that
I
will
would
get
love to see
batted
it.
around.
I would love to see it. I don't know. What about you? You said Warriors in 5, so I guess it's still possible.
Yeah, Warriors in 5.
You're still sticking with that.
Boston's going to throw away 3 straight games. And we'll see what Jason Tatum does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
Horrible finals.
Do you think if he shoots like this 2 more games and they're down 3-1, and he shows up without sideburns, he just shaves the sideburns, would you pick him at that point?
Yeah, then I would pick the Celtics to win the rest of the way. I'm just saying, I might tweet out Pascal's first 2 finals game versus Jason Tatum's first 2 finals games.
The last thing I would say, Raptor fans, like, we gotta stop doing this.
Making everything about the Raptors.
No, it's just we. You know how ridiculous we sound sometimes. We're like, Tatum, he won that game. He had 13 assists, but he shot poorly. Well, guess what? Pascal shot great in game 1 of the finals, and I'm like,
great tweet. Send me that tweet. Let me retweet it.
I'm not gonna tell. I mean, it was Pascal Propaganda, an account I very much like and
Shouts
very much
Pascal
enjoy.
Propaganda. Great tweet.
Yes, but also like, come on, man, what are we doing here? Like, can we just watch the game at some points? I'm not saying I don't do it either. I'm trying to acknowledge that this is a behavior that afflicts all of us,
right?
And we do it a little bit too much. But anyway, we're gonna take a spot. We're gonna take a break right here. I'm your host, Wolu. You've been listening to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. When we come back, we are going to draft all-time NBA Finals moments. I can't wait. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Wayne Liu. I continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. And we are going to do another draft on the Raptors Show. Whenever you hear a draft on the Raptors Show, you know that the content is a little bit sparse. And anyway, we always have finally, yes.
Someone who's not slacking, producer Derek Brandale.
Yes, and to bring in our draft expert, James Herbert.
Yeah, James
CBS
Herbert
Sports.
of CBS Sports.
How you doing,
James, how are you, man?
I am doing great. I can't believe I'm a draft expert now.
Yeah, you're Jonathan Givony, but
yeah, we mean that very loosely.
but of NBA moments.
Don't take it to heart.
Yeah.
We just say things on here. So we are drafting
Let me have this.
favorite NBA Finals moments, and the one rule. Are we banning the 2019 Raptors championship run, or can we
Hell
draft
no.
from it? Okay, so we can
Drafting
draft from there.
exclusively from
Oh
this.
my God! Please expand your knowledge of
No.
basketball. The one rule is you have to draft moments that you actually saw. So I don't want to no 1960 stuff. I guess for me, like NBA Finals moments that you experience. Is that okay for you, Will?
Nah.
Okay,
No, I'm breaking the
never
rules.
mind.
No, because you know what I realized actually. So
okay, that's my rule. Then.
here's the thing. I
Okay.
started watching basketball, like I said earlier in the show, 2004. I remember the finals that year.
Yeah.
It was the Pistons. It was versus the Lakers. It was
Right.
Rob Thomas. This Is How a Heart Breaks was the theme song for the playoffs that year.
Okay.
I think
Wow.
TNT still had the finals at that point. And
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the final. But then I was like thinking forward, and I'm like, I'm gonna pick 15 moments from like the 20 some odd finals I've seen, and I'm like, it wasn't 15 moments. So I know I gotta dig deeper. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
I'm breaking the rules.
So that's the only rule for myself and James as the guest. You don't have any rules.
Well, you were there when George Mikan won his first championship.
That's
so
enough.
You're good, man.
That's enough. So let's get to it. As always, the guest goes first. Winners go 5 rounds. So James Herbert, you're on the clock with your first pick in the NBA Finals all-time favorite moments draft.
I feel like I have to pick the Jordan shot from 1998. I don't feel like I actually have a choice in the matter. Like that is one of the greatest moments in NBA basketball history. I did actually experience it, and I grew up a total Jordan stan. So I was ecstatic when that went in. I had no doubt that it was going to go in. I think the steal that preceded the shot was just as good as the shot
People forget.
itself, or at least
People forget.
almost as good as the shot itself. And it's just one of those things that it's like you cannot possibly write something like that without it seeming corny, but it actually happened. Like that is the best way you could possibly end a career. It's a shame that that's not actually when his career ended. But everybody seems content to pretend that it is because the moment was that cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great first overall pick. Anything you have to add to that moment, William?
From my research, because I was still in China and unaware of what basketball was at this point. 1998, 45 points, man.
Yeah.
45 points. And not only did he get
In an
the
era
strip,
where teams scored like 80.
yeah, so no, he literally had half the team's points. Even before that strip on Karl Malone, where it I don't know, I guess they tried to set a screen and got a mismatch. Were they trying to setting a screen, like a cross screen, to get Michael Jordan switched on to Karl Malone? Because that doesn't even seem like a good idea. But the screen happens, and then Michael with the very, very smart play to linger on the play because he doesn't actually leave with his guy, and Malone with this back to the basket strips him. I know I'm telling you this as if like I was there and you weren't. I mean, you were there and I wasn't. So anyway, I enjoyed watching the highlights of this an hour ago. For my first pick, I'm very happy this has made it here. Obviously, I mean, that is the all-time moment. But I'm going to go with Ray Allen's corner three off the rebound from Chris Bosh, 2013. Game 6, the ropes were out famously.
Yes.
You could see it on the replay. If honestly Ray Allen took one more step backwards, he probably would have tripped into the first row. That's how much the ropes were out.
Okay.
Yeah, LeBron had pulled up for 3. He missed it. Chris Bosh with the rebound. Obviously, the big controversy in hindsight, why did Greg Popovich take Tim Duncan out? Because you could have potentially boxed out and got the rebound. I think his argument would be you need to prevent the 3 and you need as much mobility out there. Forces overtime. People forget it forced overtime. It didn't win the game. It didn't win the series. But the Heat went on to win, and then they went on to win Game 7?
Yeah, they won
Yeah.
Game 7.
It was also, Game 7 was also very close.
People
by the way.
forget that was a close game. This is the people forget draft,
Yeah.
by the way.
There we go.
So my pick, I'm also going to go with the 98 finals between the Bulls and the Jazz. Dennis Rodman missing practice and then showing up during the finals on WCW, Monday Night Nitro,
Okay.
as part of the NWO. People forget that at the time, Rodman had joined the New World Order and was slated to be in a pay-per-view where he was going to wrestle against Karl Malone. And this took place after the 98 finals, like a month or two after. I believe the pay-per-view was Bash at the Beach. And there's this great, I should have pulled this clip, but there's this great clip from Bob Costas, who was calling the finals. And after Rodman had missed practice and showed up, like he was so disgusted, he went on like a 5-minute monologue about just how bad wrestling is. And, you know, Bob Costas is wrong because 90s wrestling is amazing. So, yeah, that's my first pick.
Yeah, my only question about this is, so you're telling me the first half of the show, you're complaining about Draymond doing a podcast. Meanwhile, the Draymond of his era is literally missing practice to go wrestle.
Once again, this is why radio should not be daily.
You have a 90s bias, man. You've submitted yourself as a Charles Barkley of the Raptors Show.
Yeah, Jason Tatum was like Judd Bushler. James Herbert with the second pick, all-time NBA Finals moments. You're on the clock.
Okay, I feel like since I made the big obvious choice for the best moment in my first pick, I can just get as weird as I want from here on out. It's favorite moments, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to go with the 2011 finals, the JJ Barea takeover. This was insane. Like, you think about what Fred VanVleet did in 2019. Like, JJ Barea did the Fred VanVleet thing before Fred VanVleet did. The series completely changed when Carlisle put him in the starting lineup in game 4. And then game 5 was really the game where he just destroyed Miami, like roasted Mike Bibby, who was somehow starting for that finals team, even though he was super old and couldn't really move. Roasted Joel Anthony, who was also somehow starting for that finals
So what happens
team.
when you have 3 max guys?
That Heat team was a little top heavy, man.
Yeah. And to be clear, like Joel Anthony at the time, like he was a big part of what they did on defense. Like he moved defensively, but like they just were not ready for JJ Barea launching
defensively.
These
Anyways, go on, James.
They trapped ball handlers. They made people uncomfortable. They forced a ton of turnovers. It was not happening against JJ Barea. He just dominated that game 5. He had 17 points, made 4 of his 5 3-pointers. Some of those were like tough contested ones off the dribble. He didn't just roast Bibby, like he gave Mario Chalmers buckets. Like you can go back and watch these highlights. The Heat just looked so confused. They did not know what to do. He was great again in game 6. And it was just the kind of thing where that was why people were saying that Carlisle outcoached Spoelstra in that series, was because of that move in the starting lineup. And the Barea-Nowitzki pick and roll is just legendary. And, you know, you see him at the time, you'd see him turn into a superstar every time, like, you know, he played for Puerto Rico in the summer. This was like that version of Barea on the biggest stage imaginable. And oh, by the way, like LeBron is missing mid-range jumpers over him on the other end. And he drew a charge against LeBron because he was just moving his feet and then flopping, just pestering everybody on the perimeter. Like this was a genuinely legendary performance from JJ Barea.
Yeah, 2011 was very fun. I actually have some other moments from 2011 on my list, on my rundown, but I'm not going to get to that right now because with my next pick, I mean, like, if I'm going to be honest, man, LeBron's chase down block 2016 game 7, like, you know, for the ones that I've experienced, that is still like the top game for me. Like that game was so back and forth, and it was like neither team could really score for like a 5-minute period there. Steph really could barely get a shot off. You know, Clay couldn't get separation. It was like Harrison Barnes was missing corner threes nonstop. Draymond was actually having a great game. Draymond, I think he had like 35 in game 6.
He had like 6 threes or something like that.
He stopped kicking people in the nuts and, you know, started actually playing basketball, which was really great to see. But, yeah, LeBron's chasing down block, man.
Yeah, I was in the building for that. It was fun. I covered that finals.
Oh, yeah, you were
that
in
was
the building.
That was a terrible game. That was like there was a lot of drama in the fourth, but if you go back and watch the fourth quarter, that was disgusting. Like Steph and Clay, I think, were just throwing the ball around, bunch of turnovers, and guys just couldn't score. But iconic moment, and obviously followed by Kyrie's shot, and then Kevin Love tap dancing in front of Steph Curry guarding him.
I love how that's called the stop. Come on, man.
He moved his feet like Joel Anthony.
It was the stop, the shot, and the block. Like, this is the best moment in Cavaliers franchise history. This was like some of the most intense basketball I've ever seen. Like, it was ugly. I wouldn't call it terrible.
Yeah, I'm just being a hater today.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Yeah, he had that scripted. All right, next up, I'm going to stick with the Bulls era for now. 97 NBA Finals. It was Chicago, Utah, their first time playing in the finals. The game is tied with under 10 seconds left. Karl Malone goes to the free throw line, has 2 free throws to put Utah ahead. 75% free throw shooter during the regular season that year. Scottie Pippen walks up to him. The game was on Sunday, and he said, the mailman doesn't deliver on Sunday. Malone misses both.
What a bar.
MJ comes back on the other end and ices the game at the buzzer with a jumper just inside the three-point arc. And, yeah, you know, I guess I'm picking all the moments, all my Karl Malone slander moments. So that's my moment. The mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays. Okay, on to the third round. James Herbert, what's your next pick?
Okay, so I'm going to pick 2014, the Spurs revenge on Miami. If I have to pick one game, it would be game 3 if I had to pick one game.
Oh, not the cramps? When LeBron got the cramps?
It's 1-1. No, I think that was game 1. But it's 1-1. It's not clear yet that the Spurs are about to basically bury a super team. And they come out and drop 41 in the first quarter. They lead 71-50 at the half. Like, this was just an onslaught. And it was also kind of the beginning of the Kawhi Leonard superstar story. He, in the previous finals, had played incredible defense against LeBron. That was where that sort of meme came in, where LeBron reacts when he's at the free throw line and he notices that Kawhi is coming back in.
Yes.
But this game, Kawhi had 29 points, which now that's like a totally normal playoff game for Kawhi. At the time, he hadn't scored that many points since high school. Like, he had 26 once in the NBA, twice in college. He comes out, he's making all these jumpers, and Mike Breen is like giggling on the broadcast, like, what is happening here? Kawhi wasn't even 23 years old yet. But obviously it wasn't just him. Like, he had an incredible game, but this was a beautiful game. It was all the passing, it was all the movement. The Heat had played this defense where they were always kind of getting themselves in rotation and trying to make other teams uncomfortable. And the Spurs were just like one step ahead the entire way. And I thought, you know, that was their most convincing victory. But generally, like, that's kind of how the series was. Like, the Spurs were just on it. It was some of the best offensive basketball I think we've ever seen. It was just really, really fun to watch. And it was like just this like team that was clearly so much more than the sum of their parts. And by the way, like, the sum of the parts was like really good too. So I think everybody who kind of watched that series remembers just how unstoppable they looked, and just the fortitude to kind of come out after how the previous season ended and kind of, you know, slay those demons against that same team. That enriched the sort of narrative aspect of it. But even if you don't care about that, just the basketball is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't seen a basketball team play that beautifully. Like, I think the Warriors at times approached it, but it felt very much like the peak Warriors teams would like have so much talent they just overwhelmed you. They played great basketball, no doubt. Whereas the Spurs, it kind of gave you that element of like, okay, they're playing great basketball, but like, how are they doing? How is Marco Bellinelli this good?
The way they were connected was just
how is Boris Diaw this good? How is like Manu Ginobili dunking on I mean, you talk about age 36 performance with Al Horford. I mean, like, him dunking on Chris Bosh. Oof.
Damn.
You know, great moment. Game 5.
Yeah.
All right. For my next pick, technically, since I've seen Winning Time now, I can claim this one.
Goodness.
Magic Johnson as a rookie, 1980. Kareem is out, 42-15.
Yeah, just read it off
Starting at
Wikipedia,
center.
man. Go ahead.
No, I watched the highlights of this as well.
Okay.
All right. Game 6 against the Sixers. Was guarding, I think, Dr. J as well. 42-15 as a rookie, though. Finals MVP.
Yeah.
Is that the most legendary rookie season ever?
Yeah, he tipped off at center, right? And it's crazy. Back in the day, like, those games were on tape delay.
Yeah, you remember that.
CBS. I was watching Dukes of Hazzard, waiting for the game to come on at 1 a.m. No, that was a great. That was a great moment.
I'm sorry, man.
I can't believe you went into the 80s, man.
Well, I mean, technically, you know,
man,
it is something I've experienced in my lifetime.
All right, we gotta speed this up.
This should have been. I mean, if this is eligible, this is an incredible pick because this is one of the most important games in NBA history.
It's eligible. It's Will's show. All right, we got to speed this up a little bit. My last pick of the third round, I'm going to go with Allen Iverson stepping over Ty Lue in the 2001 finals. Yep. That was his MVP season. And, you know, the Sixers ended up, that was the only game that they won in that series.
That's the only game the Lakers lost.
Yeah,
in that playoff.
Because as I've told you many times, Will, Shaq is the most dominant player that I've ever seen. And yeah, no, that was just such an iconic moment. You just talk about moments in the finals. Like that's one that gets brought up over and over again. So pretty self-explanatory. All right, on to the fourth round. James Herbert, what's your pick?
So I just picked the Spurs and you guys started talking about the Warriors. I think there's a reason for that. Like I'm going to pick the kind of Warriors coming out party from 2015. If it's one game, it's Steph game 5 where he hit like the hardest threes ever, like a couple of just insane ones with Delly draped over him. Almost makes Delly fall down. The Cavs are just grabbing him and holding him on every possession. They're doubling him, blitzing him, whatever, and he just goes nuts. It's probably his best finals performance in all of the Warriors runs. But beyond just that crazy game where he had like 37 and made Mike Breen yell bang and Oracle was going crazy, like after they clinched the championship, Alvin Gentry shouted out Mike D'Antoni and was yelling, "Tell Mike D'Antoni he's vindicated." And for someone like me, who not only loved the way that those Warriors played, but had, as a kid, like rooted for every iteration of those Mike D'Antoni Phoenix Suns teams, even that when it wasn't D'Antoni anymore, when it was Gentry coaching an older Nash, and they had an incredible team too. Like that was super meaningful to me. And the whole point was like they won the way that the Suns did. They played super fast. They shared the ball. They shot a ton of threes, and they empowered this really talented point guard to kind of run the whole show and dominate like from that position. And like that team changed basketball. Obviously, like the league looks different now because of the Suns, and the league now looks different because of those Warriors as well. I mean, they started the death lineup for the last 3 games of that series, and that obviously changed the NBA.
Yeah, no, that was a great series because Matthew Dellavedova was very memorable. Remember when he almost fainted because he had drank like 5 coffees?
Yeah, they pumped some IV fluids in him.
Yeah, like what was happening, man? Honestly, people were doing anything possible to stop Steph, just like they are today. But shout out to Matthew Dellavedova. All right, for my next pick, the 4th pick, I'm gonna go with Ron Artest's 3 in Game 7.
Oh yeah,
2010. Kobe's doubled. This game, Kobe was like 6. What was he? 6 of 24.
Yeah, 6.
It was. He struggled in this game, right? This is his 5th championship, his final one. He's doubled. So he swings the ball over to Ron Artest, and Ron Artest is like looking straight at Paul Pierce, jab steps him. And you remember Ron Artest, he's like super stiff with his movements. You know, like the original OG and Anunoby, basically. Yep. Like super stiff with the way he moves, right? And jab step Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce is like, you're not going to drive on me. But he's like, you're also not going to shoot this 3. It's like 1 minute left in the game. And then Ron Artest is like, yeah, of course I'm going to shoot this 3. And then he makes the 3. It's not a game winner. It pushes the lead from 3 to 6 points with a minute left. The Lakers are able to hold on and win. But I just remember this because for the post game interview where Ron Artest was out there and talking to the reporters, and he said, "Shout out to my therapist."
Yeah,
he's like, I can hear in my ear Kobe's telling me, "Don't shoot it, don't shoot it," and I'm like, I'm gonna shoot it anyway. And then he won Kobe his 5th championship there.
This is gonna be when Draymond hits a game winning 3 in Game 7.
Okay, he's gonna say shout out to my producer, my podcast producer.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
Kobe passed me the ball. Kobe passed me the ball. That was the best press conference in NBA history.
No, that was one of the best. With my 4th pick, I'm gonna go with J.R. Smith for getting the time on the clock. 2018 Game 1.
Sick.
And you know what? It's kind of a double pick. You know, LeBron 51, 8 and 8 in that game.
Yeah,
arguably the best finals game that he's ever played. Against that super team. And also, there was a little controversial call with under a minute left. I think there was a foul on KD that was reversed or something like that. There was a replay review. So the Cavs should have won that. But anyways, George Hill missed that free throw. JR got the ball. And, the rest is history. All right, let's speed through 5th speed round. Final pick, James, what do you have?
I'm going to pick a recent one, 2020, Jimmy Butler. Game 5. It's an elimination game. That's where that photo's from, where he's like bent over that video screen, absolutely exhausted. He drew 2 fouls late in that game when he just had like nothing left. I don't know how he did it, but the whole game, like he finished with 35, 12, and 11 and 5 steals. And the whole game, he's doing everything for that team. He is making all these contested shots. He's doing it like with LeBron guarding him, with AD guarding him, whatever. Yeah. And maybe not even the best performance he had that series. He had a 40-point triple-double earlier. Like the legend of playoff Jimmy has grown since then because he just keeps doing it. But that was an elimination game, and he was just I've never seen. I shouldn't say I've never seen, but I was just blown away by like the energy that it took for him to come through with that performance.
Yeah, the best part is like there was nobody in the building for that. Nobody's able to like be like, hey, I remember
the people who tapped in on Zoom, man. Come on.
Oh, the Zoom fans? Yeah, the Zoom fans.
Actually, it was Microsoft.
Nuts.
It was
Virtual
Microsoft.
fans.
Yeah, that's right. The Surface fans. Okay, for my last pick, I don't care. This is called the Raptors Show. I'm taking Fred VanVleet, 12 points, game 6, fourth quarter in Oakland to shut down Oracle. The Raptors, I mean, listen, Kawhi was struggling that game. Kawhi was struggling that game, okay? Kyle obviously had a hot start, whatever. Pascal played great sort of throughout the game, but they needed someone to come in and close that game, and that was Fred VanVleet. 12 points in the fourth quarter. The scream captured by Keyshawn, iconic photo, iconic memories. It gives me shivers. I watched the highlights prior to starting the show, and I screamed in the office.
Of course you did. I'm surprised it took that long for the Raptors to make the list because you had to go back to the 80s. Final pick.
And he did that after like guarding Steph, chasing him around all night.
Yeah, that was weird.
He was Delhi, but he was way better than Delhi at being Delhi.
No, relax.
All right, we got a minute left. I got to wrap up. I'm gonna go with a moment that really crushed me in the childhood. Nick Anderson missing 4 free throws with 8 seconds left in Game 1, 95 Orlando Magic. The Shaq and Penny teams were my favorite teams growing up. In Game 1, they blew a 20-point lead. They were up 3 with 8.5 seconds left. Nick Anderson misses 2 free throws, gets his own rebound back, misses 2 more. Kenny Smith hits a 3 to tie the game, send it to overtime. The Rockets sweep the Shaq and Penny Magic. And it actually affected Nick Anderson's career because like he ended up, I think there were seasons when he ended up shooting like 40% from the free throw line. So like it actually like changed the trajectory of his career, and it messed me up as a child. So that's my final pick.
Okay. All right. Well,
this is your favorite?
It's a moment. It's a moment.
we're going to wrap.
Scarred from it.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, James, appreciate you. That does it for us today. I'm your host, William Liu. And you've been listening to The Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Thanks again to my guest, James Herbert, my producer and co-host, Alex Wong, our board producer, Derek Bandale, and Jennifer Olnick for helping us with the YouTube stream. We'll talk to you tomorrow.